My Web30 guest today is someone who is actively shaking the tree of technology and peeling back the layers of digital marketing to bring opportunity for all, especially younger people and women. I doubt if Tim Berners-Lee 30 years ago could have imagined he opened the pathway for the journey and mission that my guest is proudly taking. My guest has a think tank for women in business and technology, and FemPeak, a platform aimed at raising women's socioeconomic status through the application of technology. So let's go straight away and meet Somi Arian. Welcome, Somi.
Thank you for having me, Malcolm.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And look, we're up in Northumberland and it's a cold there, but you've just been closing the windows for the sunshine down in London. What's happening in the world?
I don't know what is going on this year. There's been no sun, literally. I can't wait for the day that technology can actually control the weather.
Saturday this week, I promise. So many thanks for guesting on our Web30 BV-TV special. Now, as I alluded in my opening piece, you've not only embraced technology, but metaphorically are grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and shaking it to bring opportunity for people. We'll talk about FemPeak later, but tell us, first of all, who is Somi Arian and what's your personal vision and mission?
Sure. So I consider myself or describe myself as a tech philosopher, but that means, I studied philosophy. I studied philosophy, political philosophy, and philosophy of science initially, and then technology. What I'm really interested in is how technology is changing society. And I'm looking now at how women can have an impact on it, or why women need to have an impact. I'm fascinated by technology. I believe, I suppose believe is a strong word to use. I feel that technology almost has a life of its own. It goes back to my kind of philosophical view of the universe and how I understand the evolution of life. So we often think about technology as something that we use. We describe one way of looking at technology is that technology is a name that we give to a set of tools and techniques that enhances our lives and it increases our capacities, right? So essentially we use it as a tool to outsource some of the things that we can't do. For example, the first time somebody picked up a stick and shook that apple from the tree, that was technology, right?
Yeah.
So that's a process of coming up with that idea, to create, to pick up that stick and use it as a tool. That was like a very early form of technology. We can't say creation, but discovery. And actually, that is this question of discovery versus creation is a fascinating one. For example, do ideas come to us, or do we find ideas? Do we come up with ideas, right? I think one way of looking at it is that ideas come to us, they already exist. Kind of like you think about equations, right? Mathematical equations already exist. Laws of physics already exist. And in a process of co-evolution and co-creation with the universe, we come up with these, so we act like satellite receivers and transmitters. So we are like co-creating the reality, and and in this time that we are in our universe, we are co-creating our universe and our world with technology. So if we look at it this way, that technology has a life of its own, could we say that perhaps technology is using us to further itself? Because we are always thinking about we're using technology to further ourselves. But another way of looking at it is that technology is using us. Technology is a form of life itself, and it's using us. So far, our co-evolution with technology has been, in a way that we have been ahead, right? We've been mostly using technology to further ourselves. But if technology is a form of life itself, which appears to be, because if you think about, for example, in nature, like technology is everywhere. Think about, birth, the process of birth, right? Creation of from an embryo, or there's like when you think about
photosynthesis or something like
exactly,
that.
it's all technology, right?
Yeah.
So another very simple example that I give is kind of like when you look at a crocodile, the way that the crocodile will open its mouth, and then the little bird will come in and clean his or her teeth, right?
Yeah.
That is technology. That's no different from us brushing our teeth, right? and it's going both ways, so it's benefiting both. So with that in mind, one way of looking at technology is that so far our co-evolution with technology has been that we've been here, technology has been here. Now we're getting to a point that technology is coming up, right? It's actually converging. It's converging and then potentially taking off. So as humans, we need to step up. It's kind of like, if you can't beat it, merge with it, right? So we should think about, and it's already happening. I mean, I look at, for example, how many wearable technologies I use. For example, this ring that I use, which measures how I sleep, tells me how a lot about my health, my heart rate, and all that stuff. It can even tell if I've eaten too late. It's pretty incredible, right?
It is frightening, but in one way, exactly what you're saying. But look, I want to ask you a question. How do we make sure that technology is used for the good of the world? It worries me in my own little way that my grandchildren we've got to be ultra cautious with them, for example, on the internet. We've got to be careful as to what's happening with people who want to steal on the internet. Technology at times, it seems like it's being used for evil.
Well, you could say that about any other tool. Anything else that we have, you think about, wars, for example. You can think about, ever since humans have found consciousness, they have learned to steal, and even in animal kingdom, birds, they would steal, the nest or the eggs of other birds. And so it's always been in nature. It has always been that there are some some individuals, like individual animals or organisms, it doesn't matter, that they find the shortcut and they realize that it's easier to steal than do your own thing. So in fact, the concept of ethics, the type of ethics that as humans we have come up with, it's a whole new way of being, and that's because we became social animals. So we needed to come up with these ethical boundaries and ethical pillars to survive as a society. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able. Look at the number of nearly 8 billion people on the planet. Like, how are we surviving? How are we collaborating? So so in terms of that's a whole other issue of you can use any tool in the wrong way, and technology is no different. Technology in itself is not evil. Technology in itself is not bad. It's not bad or good, to be honest. It's more like it's just a form of evolution. It's a form of evolution of life. So whether we decide that it's good for us or bad for us, that is up to us, depending on what we value. Let's say, for example, if you're walking on the sidewalk and you step on a cockroach or on an ant, you didn't mean to be mean to that cockroach or to that ant, right? You were just going your way. It just happens that ant or the cockroach is in your way. So likewise, now we are at a point we are at a crossroad of human history, in the sense that technology is going to take over. It's going to become more intelligent, more and more intelligent. By the end of this century, we may really have to redefine humanity, because if we are getting to a point that we are able to enhance our cognitive abilities. I mean, I've got a number of wearable technologies here. I've invested in a wearable technology company as well. And so, for example, one of them, I put it on my earlobes every day for an hour, and it sends waves into my brain, and it helps calm down my brain, but also I have definitely noticed that it has helped my focus. It has helped, I have ADHD, so it has helped my focus, my memory, all that stuff. Yeah. So in a way, I'm enhancing, right? So imagine where we will be in 5 years, in 10 years, like companies like Neuralink of Elon Musk now, the work that they're doing on, overcoming things like Alzheimer's, dementia with these technologies. So
yeah.
So it's really important. The reason why I'm passionate about women in technology is because when I look at the technological developments that we've had to date, it's like 99% of men that have come up with these, at least in the top tier. You think about the world right now is run by 10, a dozen corporations, 5 in China, essentially 5 in America. If you add Tesla, almost a dozen corporations, right? And tech corporations. And all of these are founded and run by men. So what worries me, the reason why when we were starting this conversation, I said, let's just get into it, because I have a very different reason for why I want women in this. My reason is beyond equality, is beyond, diversity, all that stuff. That's all good and well, but on a philosophical level, my worry is that we are developing these technologies without a female perspective in the room, and that could be detrimental to humanity, and we could be missing something very important. So my reason for wanting women in technology, in business, and in positions of power to be able to have a say in the way that these technologies is developing is that philosophical reason of, I feel that we are working with half of our brain. We're not working with the full brain, because all of these are being designed by men. And, there are some women within those areas, but there's technically no woman, not even 0%, no woman in the top tier, like on the same level as Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and all that jazz. So really,
I'm with you. But what fascinated me was during the COVID, the countries that survived well against the attack were all led by women, like New Zealand, for example. Are you saying that extra perspective that women have, whereas we're just hearing that our Prime Minister Boris Johnson in the UK allegedly couldn't quite actually see the danger of COVID, but those countries led by women actually did see that, and the New Zealand locked down very quickly.
Yeah, well, you know what? I tend to be very careful about. I don't want to suggest that for women to win, men have to lose. Look, we've gotten to where we've gotten in our society, we've gotten pretty far with male leadership, and they've clearly done a great job in many areas. Honestly, I don't know. I think it will be a bit of a speculation. I'm very careful about these things. I don't want to make claims. I don't know. We don't have enough of a previous paradigm. We don't have enough precedents for female leadership to that level, to say that for sure women are better leaders. It's not about being better leaders. It's just really about having equal perspective, I think the way I see it is kind of like, if you think about your car has run out of gas, right? And you're trying to push it to the gas station to try and get some gas. And are you going to tell your wife, you just sit there, no, you're the weaker sex, you're not going to help, I'm just going to push it by myself. This is kind of where we are now, where we're, in terms of how technology is taking off so fast, and we are running out of gas, and we are not using all of our brains and all of our powers to push that car to the gas station together. And really, honestly, my reason for pushing women into business and technology and wanting women to be successful is on that philosophical level of we really need both perspectives in the room. If you think about, for example, again, going back to philosophy, I'm a Nietzschean, and really love Nietzsche. He's a philosopher that really impacted me. And one of the things, my most favorite book of Nietzsche is The Birth of Tragedy, where he talks about the Apollonian and the Dionysian modes of life, right? So the Apollonian being the logical, the world of form, right? And Dionysian being the, maybe you could call it emotional, more like chaotic, more like the world of ambiguity and formlessness. And the way I see it, Dionysian is very much like a female representation because, it's like a world of potentiality. That's why women are able to create life because they have that, they're like a field of potentiality, right? Whereas the male perspective is generally speaking, again, you can't always generalize, but typically there's like the Apollonian vision, which is very much like, logical and formed. And then there's the world of ambiguity. As we go into this new phase of human evolution, we need to be able to live with ambiguity more than ever. We're going to need that Dionysian perspective. I feel like our world has been too Apollonian. And one of the reasons why Nietzsche heavily criticizes Socrates and and the ancient Greek philosophers is that he says that they killed the Dionysian. They made our society too Apollonian, and all of the religions, the rules of religion, the 10 Commandments, these are all very Apollonian. Because there's a difference between truth and validity. So what they are concerned with is the validity of an argument, but an argument could be valid but not true. The truth. That's why he says truth is a woman. Because truth it changes all the time. And women are a great representation of constant change. Even in a month you have cycles, in your life you have cycles, and these cycles are sometimes so up and down and so different. So we are used to living with ambiguity, and the technologies that we are creating is not catering to that. Our technology is too rigid.
Yeah. I take that word truth as well, because, as I said to you, I work with my wife and she cuts straight to the truth. Stop trying to elaborate things, Malcolm. Just get straight to the truth. Before I move to our second part of our conversation, let me remind viewers and listeners of Somi's website URL. It's on the screen behind me, obviously, for viewers, but for listeners, it's Somi, Somi, Somi Arian, and Arian is Arian, somiarian.com. It's a fascinating site to go and have a look for as well, just from a technology point of view as well. In your information sheet, Somi, I read that FemPeak is a female-focused ecosystem that meets women where they are and uses AI to help them progress in their careers and life. Can you disassemble a statement for me, for viewers and listeners, as to what FemPeak is, how it works, and where you are now with it? Oh, and why the title FemPeak?
So, okay, why we chose the name FemPeak? Because I was thinking that women are so far from the peak of their achievements, what we can do. I think that, I don't know if men have reached their peak, but I think that they've done a pretty good job, right? And, women are not even at the base camp yet when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to, I think opportunities is one of the number one things, but then also having the encouragement and the training to reach their full potential in these areas, especially in technology and business. Now, that's why it was the peak idea was that I was envisioning a mountain, right? And where we haven't even gotten to the base camp. So we have these characters, we call them Sherpanis. So, Sherpas are people that help you to get to the top of Mount Everest. Sherpanis are female Sherpas. And these are our mentors and champions. And the kind of people we have, like, for example, we have an MIT professor, Professor Sarah Seeger, these are she's, for example, helping women with confidence. We've got Jyoti Balani, who is our tech Sherpani. So we've got these Sherpanis that are helping women, so we have 6 pillars: is confidence, tech, knowledge of technology, and financial literacy. These are the areas that we have discovered that women need help and support, right? And women's health, and entrepreneurship, leadership, and family and relationship. Because a lot of times when women are about to become more successful, then their biological clock and their career clock kind of is in competition, right? And then that's when they have to decide between family and career. And it's one of the things that holds them back in many cases. And that was the reason why I started FemPeak, because I had a very painful breakup where I had to choose between my career and the relationship that I was in. And it really saddened me. And I felt that so many women were in a similar position. So FemPeak is about helping women reach their peak with the help of Sherpanis. That's the idea, right?
Excellent.
And the peak of their productivity. So it's an ecosystem. But the reason why I say it's an ecosystem is because it's not just a network. It starts with the mentorship events. And then from there, we're building, and the next step is we're building a career hub where people can come in and hire female talent. And then we're building a femtrade marketplace for female entrepreneurs. So the concept of femtrade is similar to fair trade, which is like basically raising the status of these companies that are female-led and highlighting their story, encouraging people to buy from them, just like you would buy this coffee, fair trade coffee or fair trade banana, And also we're building also an investment network.
That last one fascinates me because, as I said to you, I've interviewed over 100 women leaders around the world since last March, and whether it's in universities or wherever it may be. And what fascinated me was in London, only 5% of venture capital money goes to women-led businesses. In Los Angeles, they're managing now to have got that to 15%, but it's still low, isn't it?
It is, and actually, globally, I believe 2019 it was only 8%.
Wow.
So yes, there are many reasons for that, and it's one of the things that I'm working on this, because on the platform we have Sherpanis for each of these areas, and I'm the entrepreneurship Sherpani because I've built, I know I've got another successful business, and I used that to fund this to this point, and then I raised so far about $500,000 to build this, and I raised that money in 4 Zoom calls. So and I came to the UK 2005 with 1 suitcase. I didn't know anybody here. So how did I create the network to be able to do that, right? So I want to share that with other people and teach them how to do that so that they can raise money. But eventually we are going to build our own investment network on the platform. So as people come in, we ask them whether they are sophisticated investors or whether they are new to investing and they want to learn how to invest. And then we're going to teach them how to invest. And then we are also going to help female entrepreneurs to make sure that they are investor ready, because they haven't, women haven't historically had the kind of network to enable them to learn these things, and we really need to share that knowledge.
Yeah, I really applaud you on that latter bit there, because as again, back to the interviews we were doing, I was interviewing one lady the other day. She's built a $100 million empire up based out of Seattle. And she has really, really struggled to force her way through, but she's achieved it. And it's also, I think, giving people those, not just the mentoring, but also the soundboarding, but also to be able to say, look, we've done it, you can do it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And sharing that knowledge and, the things that we've done with them. Yes.
Yeah. And that's all then comes back into using technology as well, does it?
Exactly. Technology is at the heart of all of it. The AI part is something that we're still working on because there needs to be enough data for AI to learn, to be able to then help scale this, right? So we are starting with a human Sherpani, and then eventually we will have a digital assistant that is going to be called Sherpani as well, so like an AI Sherpani.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Sadly, I've got to be leaving soon. This great philosophy there. I mean, I love philosophy, by the way. I could sit and talk to Socrates all day. I just, like me, have been stimulated by the leading edge thinking of Somi Arian. And with people like her, the worldwide legacy is safe for the future. An opportunity for all will exist. Thanks, Somi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Malcolm.